Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rubidiculous Show. I'm an American queen. I have a lot in common with the United States. We're both old, and we're both falling apart, so stay tuned.
250 years of fire, built this dream we're standing on. But lately something feels so tired, like the soul is coming undone. We're talking loud but not the same, different truths, a different pain, lines drawn deep across.
It's the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. And if you would have told the founding fathers in 1776 that in 250 years, the majority of kids graduating school wouldn't know how to read or write, they probably would have shot themselves or gone right back to where they came from. You'd have to agree, it's sad that America has fallen from grace. Now, a lot of people will argue that America was never great, and that's not true. I think the United States has been a shining example of what it takes to be a democracy. I think some of the things people don't realize is that you can move to China and you can't become Chinese. You can move to Italy and you can't become Italian. But when you move to America, you can become an American, at least according to the Supreme Court. But the problem with that is that, people don't have pride in America these days. I find that really troublesome that people can come from China, Iran, or Venezuela, and they're waving their flag. They're very proud of their country. They come from authoritarian dictator communism, where 40 plus years of struggle, but they're still proud of their country and their homeland. And I think Americans have never had to leave, and that's the problem. Americans aren't going to appreciate how great America is, at least young Americans, until they're forced to leave. And when you're trying to figure out what's wrong with America, it definitely has an autoimmune. An autoimmune condition means that the cells are attacking healthy tissue. That's what's happening. America is divided. We are attacking the good parts of America. We want to dismantle the good parts of America to open the door to systems that we know failed. We know communism has killed 150 million more people than even fascism. So it's not a war between those two. It is a battle of what America stood for and what America still stands for today. We are a proud country. Most of us have pride in our country. Most of us believe in the right to bear arms and freedom of speech. We believe in the power of the people. And we understand that that's been taken over by corporations. And we understand that we live in a corporatocracy, currently in an idiocracy. We have to get back to a place where America's not sick. And just like America having autoimmune, I too have an autoimmune. And so I can relate to this condition of America. We're spending a lot of money on healthcare and we're not getting a lot back, but somebody's getting rich, right? So that's kind of where America's at. We're living on credit cards, we have patient assistance for our autoimmune drugs. And so it's keeping us alive. But what made America great is disappearing. Now, America's been through a lot harder times, but we are facing other countries rising to power while America is hobbling along. That's a combination that's not good for our future. Understanding that if you saw your opponent hobbling and fighting with its spouse, wouldn't that be the time to strike? Wouldn't that be the time to take down their monetary system? So, I think we have to understand that we've been here before. America is a great example of a democracy. A lot of people want to fight online about the word republic and democracy. The American system is a constitutional republic that's governed by democracy. So it's not about the word. I mean, it's literally like a scene out of Idiocracy. Everyone's focused on republic or Democrat. But Aristotle in 335 BCE said it best when he said, republics decline into democracies and democracies disintegrate into despotism. Now, to understand that, you have to realize that other republics have fallen to democracy. And when they say democracy, they mean an ochlocracy, which is a mob rule where people are just taking out vigilante justice. We're seeing that a lot, and I think we're going to see more of that. Okay, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are getting married at Madison Square Garden. I mean, two pharma shills walk into a stadium. I hasn't Travis Kelce got millions of dollars from Pfizer, and of course Taylor Swift is a billionaire. So I guess if this were under Kamala's America, we would be worshiping Jay-Z and Beyonce, but instead it's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I just feel like there's such an obvious shift in the propaganda that we receive. What are we covering? Who are we highlighting? It's not Megan Thee Stallion twerking at Madison Square Garden. No, it's Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce getting married, who get millions of dollars from Pfizer to talk about pharmaceuticals. And that's who we're focused on, because who pays for the media? Pharma. That's who most of the commercials are. If you look up the ad budget of mainstream media, it is and pharmaceutical companies that bring you this content, that direct this content behind the scenes. Now, my thing is that because this is what we're worshiping and talking about, we don't also cover. Now, that's the AP, right? Everyone's talking about this like an American queen is getting married. It's not me this time. But what we're not talking about is that last week there was another trans shooter. So in Las Vegas, a transgender individual who apparently armed to the teeth. Like, is it really America if you're not getting gunned down by some tranny in the streets of Vegas? I mean, what says America 250-year birthday like getting gunned down by an autistic man in a dress with military-style rifles on the dead strip of Las Vegas? I mean, it really is how I would want to go. I'm kidding. But police say they thwarted what could have been a very devastating mass casualty attack after arresting a transgendered suspect in Nevada, accused of plotting and shooting on the Las Vegas Strip, and they uncovered an arsenal that included machine guns, grenade launchers, and more than 50 firearms. Just a girl's girl, just going out to see the girls for some drinks on a ride in the gondola. Allison Howlett, who police identified in the arrest as a transgender, was arrested June 27th after Henderson police received a frantic 911 call from the suspect's spouse. Spouse. Who was the spouse? Was it a male or female? What do you want to bet? This is one of those men that date women that call themselves a lesbian, but they're trans. They're just autistic, cosplaying a woman. I say that knowing that I'm a drag queen, so don't come for me. So they, spouse called, using vehicle tracking technology, Henderson police traced the stolen SUV to a parking garage at Sunset Station Casino. Who even goes there? Well, we're not going to kill many people over there. Well, authorities said officers eventually convinced Howlett to lower a window by offering water before pulling the suspect from the vehicle and deploying a taser during the struggle. So 50 machine guns and weapons, and they got her with a bottle of water. It should be noted that the suspect had been sitting on a handgun and had access to a fully automatic, silenced MP5 style machine gun in the back seat of the vehicle, further corroborating reports that threats of suicide by cop and having the means to carry out a mass shooting they talked about during the press conference. Authorities say detectives recovered 22 guns from the stolen vehicle, including handguns, rifles, a fully automatic firearm, suppressors, a high-capacity magazines, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. So, just in her makeup kit, hanging out. A subsequent search executed at Howlett's Henderson residence uncovered 30 additional guns, including automatic weapons, an M2, a 50 caliber machine gun, 2 Colt AR-style rifles equipped with M203 grenade launchers, 7 suppressors, and thousands of rounds of ammunition, investigators said. So I want to highlight a point here that if you think that transgender people are a small population of the shooters, remember that we started this whole movement based on about 10 or 11 trans prostitutes that were murdered. And And then we spent 10 years legislating it instead of any progressive policy, just all trans talk, all trans discussion about their life, their health care. In fact, while Americans have been increasingly struggling to pay for health care for their homes, for rent, and so the anger towards the transgender community, it's not just that they are entitled and they've made it all about them for a decade. The biggest problem is that we're all struggling under this country's current climate, and the Democrats refuse to push forward a narrative of unity amongst a bipartisan agenda. So healthcare, lowering the cost of housing, really anything that would be a progressive or considered a liberal point of view. And what we've done is we have weaponized a bunch of people to feel entitled and that they're under attack. Now, I believe there are true trans people, and they go through the proper therapy and they go through the proper channels to transition. I believe young people have gender dysphoria. I'm not one that says, I'm not denying anyone's existence. What I'm acknowledging is that the current climate in the United States of America has emboldened and, like, quite, no pun intended, weaponized a micropopulation to think that they're so important that everything in this country should be hinged on their approval. And now you have 80% of new trans male to female that are in heterosexual relationships. I'm sorry. I'm kind of glad Pride Month's over, because I'm sick of having heterosexual women tell me how I should be living. My aunt is gay. My uncle's gay. I had a tranny for a grandfather. My grandmother was like a drag queen. My mother's name is Judy. Her birthday is on the same day as Judy Garland. I mean, I don't know of a gayer family. And to hear some girl that ate pussy once in college want to tell me, well, you're not gay enough and you can't talk about, you're transphobic and you're a fuck off. You don't even have a dog in this fight. You're married to a man. So sit down, lady. And I know I don't give a shit, to be honest with you, what anyone thinks. And that's your news. So I want to talk a little bit about my move back from Los Angeles to and from. So, I've been going to LA quite a bit for the last year, and a lot of people, producers on shows, were telling me, like, if you move out here, we'll have you on all the time. And then it was quite a few people asking me, like, have you ever thought about moving? Now, that's not a promise, that's not a guarantee, but that's a seed that was being planted. Have you thought about it? No, I haven't. But I did, I think that was in June of last year. I came home and I was like, maybe, right? Like, that was always a dream of mine, to move to LA, to be a part of Hollywood. And so I started kind of slowly preparing, like, what would I do with my businesses in Austin? What would I do with my home? So I started renting my house out. I started kind of bringing people in to buy part of my business. I put one of my businesses on the market to sell. I started really seeing myself as moving to Los Angeles. And part of that had to be like a fun, exciting, I got to be a part of something really fun. And as with anything, LA is an illusion. LA is a mirage in the desert. It looks great until you get up on it. Now, I love Los Angeles. Now, I do love the weather and I love the beach. I love old Hollywood. I love the Hollywood Hills. But a lot of stuff happened in LA when I was there that was not exciting or something that I really want to be a part of. I ran across a lot of people that, they drive the Tesla and then they put on the Tesla logo, we hate Elon. Like, Elon, no, we bought this before Elon went crazy. Then sell the car, right? Or just buy the product. For example, there's a wife of a Netflix star that I was staying with, and she would tell me, we don't buy on Amazon or Whole Foods, because I had walked in with a Whole Foods bag and an Amazon package. And she goes, oh, we don't do Amazon or Whole Foods because of Jeff Bezos. I'm like, so you drive a Tesla with a no Elon sticker. You tell me I don't do Amazon or Whole Foods because of Jeff Bezos. The very next day, she was walking in her house with a Whole Foods bag picking up an Amazon package. That's LA. That's LA. That is LA. LA is people that virtue signal. They tell everybody what they should and shouldn't be doing. But when nobody's looking, that's what they do. And remember, character is what you do when nobody's watching. And that bitch didn't know I was watching her. And I was. And that kind of hypocrisy makes my skin crawl. I come from Texas where when you say something, you mean something. You stick by your word. I come from a family that sticks by their word for the most part. But I was surrounded by people out there like that. And that was a very kind of a wake-up call that I'm you in danger, girl. And I think the best way to describe my journey is this scene from National Lampoon's when they arrive at Wally World. And that's what I'll refer to LA from now on as Wally World.
One's here. First one's here. First one's here. Come on, I'll race you.
This is me driving to LA. So excited.
Sorry, folks, we're closed for 2 weeks to clean and repair
And this is me arriving in LA. And then this is what I faced when I got there.
America's favorite family fun park. Sorry.
And that's me to LA.
What are you doing?
Doesn't he owe us? Huh? He fucking A right, he owes us.
Clark, you're scaring me.
Don't be scared. I just think somebody owes us an explanation, that's all.
So my problem is that I'm too fiercely loyal. I'm way too loyal. I've learned I've become my mother. because here's what happens. And it's a pattern I noticed in my mother, and it's a pattern I've noticed in myself, is that I am way too loyal. It's loyal to a fault because I make myself exclusive to certain things that I'm in love with or I care and nurture for, and I want to be a part of. And so it's a downfall to not spread yourself out and be a little bit of a whore, right? So I like to be loyal to one person or loyal to one comedy club or loyal to one group. And I've learned that is a downfall because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And I'm not a fucking Easter bunny. I'm a drag queen. I need to be a little more of a whore when it comes to opportunities. You have to be ready to move quickly in Hollywood and entertainment in general. They tell you to keep going. They tell you to keep going. And sometimes you hit a brick wall. Let's finish watching this.
Whatever happens, just trust me. Will you just trust me? Huh, kids?
Now, this is when you arrive in LA and the non-binary, this is when the non-binary tells you you use the wrong pronouns.
Sorry, folks, park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
I've never related so much
Well, nobody notified this office of,
to these characters.
Well, I'm notifying you.
I'm afraid I'm gonna need a little more than that, sir.
Okie dokie. How's this?
Clark,
And that's me from
you lost
Texas,
your mind. Where did you
pushing my
get
way
that?
around LA.
Sporting goods store, honey. Now you listen to me, fat ass. You do what
If
I
I
say,
were
there
not
won't be any
polite.
problem, okay? Okay. We just drove 2,460 miles just for a little Roy Wally entertainment. The moose says you're closed. I say you're open.
We're not really violent people. This is our first gun.
No, it isn't.
I love her. There's something in LA people do. They love to offer stuff. Like, I don't offer things unless I'm willing to follow up on it. Like lots of people won't put you on a calendar, and you're like, you do know the calendar is in the future, right? You could put me 6 years from now, 6 months from now. That's how calendars work, because they don't have control over their situation or their life. So therefore they want to control yours. And the only way they can do that is by breadcrumbing you on a calendar. Everyone is struggling in Los Angeles to try to still do this thing that kind of stopped working a while back. I'll never put it down. It was a really good experience. And I got to experience that little bit of my childhood of what it would have been like to move to Los Angeles and follow your dreams. And sometimes dreams just are no longer meant for you. And sometimes you realize that you're going to get more done by doing it for yourself and stop becoming codependent and stop putting all your eggs in one basket. So I think part of that I realized and came back to Texas. A lot of it is my health. I've been struggling with an autoimmune condition, like I mentioned earlier, that it affects all of my joints and ligaments and tendons in my body. And so I become immobile. It's been very stressful. It ends up causing lung damage. I had pneumonia just recently and was hospitalized. And from there, it's been a month and I still can't breathe. So my voice, I've lost my voice 2 or 3 times in the last month. You've got your health, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares. But I'm going to close the show with this. You know, I'm a little rusty, and I don't know what else to talk about. And we don't know where we're going to be tomorrow, and we don't know how much longer this is going to last. As long as America exists with the protections that allow me to say what's on my mind. So as we celebrate America's 250th birthday, just remember that it didn't start out easy, right? It was a lot of masculine men that were willing to forge and come to a new world because they didn't have a lot of other choices. And America's about perseverance, and America's about grit and determination. America's about freedom and liberty and all of the things that it could feel like those things have waned in America. But if it's a government by the people and it takes a revolution again, America will still stand. So wave your flag proudly, knowing that even if you think a revolution is what this country needs, that you would still be an American in the end. And that's how I look at the world. I left and went to California. I'm still a Texan, but ultimately I'm an American. So find ways to celebrate our country. I don't care who's in power, who's in charge. It's up to you to change that. Stop voting for Mitch McConnell. Stop voting for Nancy Pelosi's. Stop voting for nursing home of the year candidates that run our country and that stay and remain in power. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If January 6th was a bipartisan event, you'd have seen change overnight. Because once they know that it's a partisan event, or they're fueling it or putting boots on the ground to make sure it looks like a partisan event, that's what they want. Division is what allows them to gain and maintain power. So if you want to topple power, it's by holding hands with the left and the right. It's by grabbing that tranny with a gun and asking her, put it down. Love one another. Remember, love is love. And so I didn't celebrate Pride this year during June, but I am celebrating American Pride this year during July. And America's 250. We're going to make it, and hang in there.